Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. And of course, you good old boys in Africa from the Big C tribe. Big C, we always got to give them, or they'll give me hate mail, Big C. But you know we love you in Canada. But there's still no one we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for all you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I'm in a very relaxed mode. I think I might have had a little bit too much liquid libation
I can
prior
tell.
to the show. So if I pause at any point, I might have fallen asleep. So just ring a bell or something to wake me up.
Yeah, they had that commercial back in the day. The lady said, I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, you can always get up for the Big C Sports Show. Today is a beautiful December the 11th. 2017 in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and so many things happening in the world of sports. And I want to, number one, before we get started, I know we talked about baseball and whether they're going to trade some of the top players in the history of their organization, and I think Miami did that. And also, I look at what happened with great football games all over the weekend. Had some high-scoring games. We had a Heisman Trophy given out to Baker Mayfield. But I want to start off with the Army-Navy game because that's about our nation's military, our finest men and women who were involved in the military, and they played a great game. In fact, they played it in the snow. Big C, your thoughts on how well they represented our country? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you talk about Philadelphia proud. That's what was going on Saturday at the annual Army-Navy game that was going on. Charlton, just a beautiful game in inclement weather. You know, Army, for the first time in 22 years, came out victorious in this head-to-head matchup. Charlton had always determined the winner of the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Yeah.
But, you know, you think about these young men and the character that they possess. It's always good about intercollegiate athletics.
Yeah.
You know, Army and Navy, these men don't go into college thinking about professional careers in the NFL, Charlton. They go about thinking about professional careers in the military service.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them of such fine character, Charlton. They are not swayed by the dollar signs when they're looking at amateur athletics, Charlton. They're swayed by integrity.
Yeah.
And you know, you think about that word integrity in today's society, especially when it looks at the White House and our politicians in Alabama who are being alleged, you know, child molesters and other incidents that have gone around in society that are voting in everyday media.
Yeah.
When you think about the Army, Navy, and even the Air Force, Charlton, you're not hearing about scandalous situations. You're not hearing about a Baker Mayfield who's been arrested on two different felony scenarios, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you talk about, the finest, America's finest. And to have these young men representing what's all good about college football was just a tremendous thing to sit down and watch. We're not looking at a high-scoring affair. We're not looking at a quarterback passing for 400 yards.
No.
We're not looking at a running back who's running for 200 or 300 yards, Charlton. We're looking at men who are working in unity together. And that's what these armed force universities do, Charlton. They create teamwork.
Yeah.
Because it's not just on the field of competitive athletics, Charlton. It's on the field of life. Because once they move on beyond this game, and they have to have each other's back, Charlton, we're talking about potential life and death situations.
Yeah, that's always true.
The integrity that they build now will bode well in their future lives, Charlton, not just in serving the military, but once they even get out of that into the private sector, Charlton. These are the class of what America should be.
Yep, that's very well true, Big C. I do want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Big C sent you. Big C, I wanted to ask you this question. I know with all the fires going on here in California on the West Coast and all the snow you guys have been having on the East Coast and down south, how's that Escalade holding up in the snow? I hear they have to salt those roads, Big C. Are you guys taking that salt off the roads to put on that new turkey dinner you guys been eating, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we might save some of that salt to season some of the meat up for later that we find on the side of the roads, you know.
Yeah.
Them accident breezes, But when you think about the Escalade, she holds up perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
That all-wheel drive, Charlton, that beautiful polish, you know. exterior paint job that she has, Charlton, and those warm, luxurious seats on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
And, we got that surround sound that drives out the side of a moaning animal in the back of the car.
Yeah, I understand.
We're living the lap of luxury.
Lap of luxury. I tell you, Big C, it's always good to have the lap of luxury. I want to touch on a few things before we get into what happened with the NFL. And, again, Army, Navy, great, and really appreciate their service to this country, and they also go out and play football. I also spoke with another military man today. Want to give a shout-out to him for following Big C Sports by the name of Doug Gaffney. He's part of the EIS Premier in Northern California, so when you're looking for work, they're also hiring people. Big C, I do want to say, because I was kind of torn, it's real talk, so we got to keep it real. When I saw Baker Mayfield get the Heisman, not only did he get the Heisman, they had Love number 2 in the Heisman Trophy running. And I thought that you look at what Jackson did last year, also having more yards per game than any college football player this year. He came in 3rd place. And I wonder who's voting on the Heisman, if they really make any sense. I just want to ask you this question. When I look at Mayfield and getting the award with all of his arrests that he's had and all the altercations and grabbing his crotch and flipping the bird to people, planting the flag from Oklahoma on the Ohio State O at Ohio Stadium, and I contrast that to the military men, how long would he be able to last if he played for the Army or Navy? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when I think about the Heisman vote in the winner this year, it meant that the integrity was taken out of the award.
Yeah.
That is no longer an award about integrity of college athletics. It's about marketing. And when we look at what Baker Mayfield did throughout his career, the denigration of college athletics, really in the last 2 years, of what he has portrayed, it's not about Heisman. Heisman, I know they say it's about the best player, but there's also some moral value, moral high ground that has to come with that, Charlton. Yes, he's the first player to be a walk-on and win the Heisman Trophy because he started at Texas Tech before he left there and went to Oklahoma. But you also got to look at his off-the-field record and even his on-the-field record, Charlton, about some things that he has found to be suspended.
Yeah.
When we look at athletics 20, 30 years ago, everything was about integrity, Charlton. You couldn't give the Heisman Trophy winner to,
just anybody.
Someone to have a criminal background.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't represent all that's good about amateur athletics. And people say, well, he had a mishap, a hiccup. Charlton, if he had been an African-American athlete, he would have been off the team. Okay?
Oh, yeah, we know that.
He would have been suspended. He would have lost his scholarship. He would have missed 4 or 5 games. But Baker Mayfield continuously got a pass because of the economics of the game and the landscape that he represented.
Yeah.
But you can't hold yourself proud if you're a voter for the Heisman Trophy winner and you look at some young man's background, because it's not just about what he does on the field and what he does that represents the game overall. Charles.
Yeah, and I think about...
it's the total body of work.
Yeah, it has to be that way, because I think about, we just came off of this incident, and I think the Ball brothers, they just signed with some company over in Europe. There's 2 of the basketball players that did. We know Lonzo's playing for the Lakers. But I look at all of the flack that the Ball father came off of with Triple B, Big Baller Brand, all that. And then the kid went over to China, and he, along with 2 other classmates and basketball players from UCLA, they were caught, shoplifting. They were charged. And now there's a punishment that comes with that, because they were actually, arrested and detained, right? They were actually released. But at the same time, when we're talking about punishment for those basketball players, but we're going to take a guy who was on a police blogger running from law enforcement, also being detained by law enforcement. And one we want to punish, the other we give a Heisman Trophy to. So what kind of precedent does this set for the next kid that wants to be a knucklehead, get in trouble with law enforcement, but if he's a good athlete, he may win the Heisman Trophy? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's proved that there's a racial divide on how things are judged, even in amateur athletics. I mean, this goes all the way back to the 1968 Olympics, where Tommy Hines and Lee Evans were banned from amateur athletics for the rest of their lives. Competition, Charlton, just because they held up a fist in solidarity.
Yeah.
They did nothing violent. You think about this, Charlton, when African-American athletes are judged, and they're non-violent. They're stripped of everything. And you think about what Baker Mayfield did, which was 2 different criminal offenses.
Yeah.
Actually, felony, if you're an African-American male, you get time for it. Baker Mayfield got a chance to go right back on the field for it.
Yeah.
So, there's a different set of standards. And I'm not saying that because of your play on the field. Some things should not be awarded.
Right.
But you should not have an opportunity, Charlton, to even compete on the field when you commit these acts of criminality and say, well, it's just a young man making a mistake. You know, you think about how many African-Americans, young men that have made a mistake that have lost their amateuristic status, Charlton, over the decades, not years, but the decades. They've constantly been stripped. Anytime there's any allegation of an impropriety, that they're quick to judge an African-American athlete. Oklahoma saw that not only the win status, but the financial status of having Baker Mayfield on the field. If they felt that Baker Mayfield was not there, then maybe they would not be in the position where they are, where they're one of the 4 finalists for the chance to win the national championship. But, you know, giving this university every opportunity because the improprieties of a young man that's doing something wrong. I mean, when you're running from the police, that's obstruction of justice. That's what Robert Mueller is fighting the White House about right now. We hear the biggest political problem in America right now is obstruction of justice. Okay? Here's Baker Mayfield. Not only is this obstruction of justice, Charlton, but last time I checked, DUI was a felony. That's why I'm sitting in this chair and not in the Escalade right now. Okay?
That's good. I'm proud of you.
I don't want to go out and commit a felony. Okay?
I'm proud of you, Big C. No drinking and driving.
So, you know, but Baker Mayfield got a pass on the DUI and obstruction of justice. Now, I would beg anybody to Google and see how many African-American males are in jail for obstruction of justice and DUI. Okay? Period. I mean, that's not a racist comment. That's a factual comment. Look and see how many African-American males are in jail for obstruction of justice and DUI.
And see, that's important because here in California, we have the high school state championships coming up this week. In fact, all over the country, a lot of the states are crowning their high school champion. And the big game up here, we have Mater Dei out of Santa Ana, California, ranked number 1 in the country. And they're playing De La Salle of Concord, which has won about 260 games in Northern California without a loss. But I look at these young men, and there are a lot of other programs. I think Folsom's going to play, Helix out of San Diego. But the point is, when we take these young men, these student athletes, and we're trying to show them how to be a good example, well, they just saw a guy who can go out and get in trouble and get arrested, and it doesn't stop you from winning the Heisman Trophy. And they saw that right after they saw the Army-Navy game. And I think it's 2 different messages we're sending to young kids. And I hope that we can look at the Army-Naval example and not what happened with Baker Mayfield. But I do want to touch on a few more things in the world of sports. Big C, I have a plan. You ever get together with some good old boys, you come up with a plan? I have a plan. Let's buy a Major League Baseball team. And in fact, let's buy a Major League an NBA basketball team also, and an NFL football team. And I'm going to be the hinge on this. I'm going to bring you an idea. You're the guy with the money. I'm the guy with the ideas. Let's take the New England Patriots. Let's buy them, and let's trade Tom Brady. I got to trade him. What do you think about that, Big C? That's what them good old boys did with Derek Jeter and the Miami Marlins. What in the world is going on, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think I need to pass you a little slide. Because you're starting to hallucinate already. You know? I'm thinking about what Derek Jeter and his partners have done down with the Miami Marlins. You talk about a program, Charlton, in professional sports has been disarrayed for several years. Just even to have a professional team in Miami, Charlton. You know, let's throw aside the Dolphins that have had some success in their past, and the Miami Heat. You look at the Marlins; they've also won a couple of World Series. But in the last decade, Charlton, they've been totally irrelevant in the world of Major League Baseball. And to have this new ownership come in, you have a player with a no-trade clause. And all of a sudden you say, you got to go. You have a no-trade clause. You got to go. So previous ownership felt that he was worth staying around. But now all of a sudden Jeter comes in, and Jeter does the same thing that he did in his career. You know, I think about the New York Knicks, Yankees, when they made the trade for Alex Rodriguez.
2004, I think.
Former MVP. 2004 when they brought him into the Yankees, and everybody said that Jeter and Rodriguez would not be able to get along. Well, I think about this now. You bring Giancarlo Stanton into the Yankees. He had 59 home runs last year. Wow. Led the major leagues. You know, MVP candidate. You bring him and you put him alongside Aaron Judge, who was Rookie of the Year MVP candidate, who hit 52 home runs. Charlton, only the second time in Major League history that 2 players that hit 50-plus home runs in the same season on the same team. You know, 62 was Maris and I'm trying to remember the other guy, Mantle.
Mantle and Maris, yeah.
Hit 50-plus home runs in the same season in 62. But not only that, Charlton, they created the tallest outfield in Major League history at 6'6" and 6'7".
Yeah.
These two gigantic, enormous individuals. But also they give Boone, the new manager of the Yankees, a carte blanche pass into the playoffs, if not just the World Series.
Yeah.
Regardless of what Joe Girardi had done. But you think about what they've done as far as the unbalancing of the playing surface in Major League Baseball, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Yankees, the rich keep getting richer. And so at some point, the commissioners of these professional sports and these other owners have to step in and say, hey, we just can't keep loading up certain markets. I understand when the Yankees are prevalent, baseball is good, Charlton.
Yeah.
But also you take these two ginormous individuals and put them together. And you think about not only them, but Charlton, the lineup that the Yankees have, they have players that can hit, they can play.
Yep.
So this puts undue pressure on the rest of the Eastern Division, Charlton. I know it's good for the economics of the largest market in America as far as advertising their games. But what does it do for the smaller market teams? We already talked about Miami not being a fanfare because you got the beaches, you got the food, you got the nightlife of Miami.
Yep.
That's what everybody goes there for. Not for a mediocre baseball team. The biggest thing in Miami last year, Charlton, was the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And other than that, no one knew that the Marlins were in town. Giancarlo Stanton hit 59 home runs, Charlton. In a major market, that would have been the rave of baseball.
Yep, it would have.
It went almost unnoticed being in Miami.
Yeah.
So you get rid of the biggest draw that you have in Miami. Why does anybody want to go to the game anymore? Charlton, he was of Latin descent, to start off.
Yep.
That is a huge influence in the Miami market.
Yeah.
Now as Derek Jeter goes in and you get rid of that large Hispanic following, Charlton, what's going to be your attendance in the game? 12,000 people now?
Well, that's a good point, Big C. And when you think about it, and people might say, well, Jeter knows what he's doing. You always go to an organization and trade the best thing. I hear there's some good old boys that are trying to buy the Golden State Warriors, and the first thing they want to do, Big C, I have another great idea. Let's buy Golden State, and I'm going to help us win. And what I'm going to do, I want to trade Steph Curry. I want to trade Kevin Durant. I want to trade Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. And you think that's going to help us win, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's buffoonery everywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of what everybody is looking at now is people can write off losses in business.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what these guys are looking to write off. They're coming in and they're paying an enormous amount for the franchise, but they're also looking at the business loss that they will occur to offset what they have to pay. Yeah. Under this new tax plan that, your president you voted for is trying to get through Congress. That's what they're looking at. It's this tax plan that helps them write off their losses, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so they can write Stanton off the loss, also the lack of attendance. But you have to look at the lack of attendance in baseball. Yeah. It's not good. So as you think that you're reassembling an organization, Charlton, but when you, as I said, when you walk into an arena, unless you're a baseball fanatic, let's look at some cities like Boston, okay? Yeah. That's a way of life, Fenway Park. Yep. You look at the Yankees, that's a way of life. You look at Chicago with Wrigley Field. Yeah. That's a way of life. You look at Los Angeles, that's a way of life for Chavez Ravine. Yeah. So with these new franchises that have come into Major League Baseball in the last 25, 30 years, those teams are not a way of life. No. Okay? No. They're not. They're like new money. When it's good, it's good. When it's not, we don't give a damn.
No, well, hold on, baby. I'll take old money too. It don't all have to be new if that's what you're trying to say. Okay, send me the old stuff. I want to bring this point up too because I know anyone can be criticized. But even if you don't, sometimes you sit around and as a little kid, you get together with the neighborhood kids, and when you're playing basketball or you play baseball or pick up football, you tend to want to get the best players to be on your side. There was a movie called Inside Man by Clive Owen, and these good old boys, it was about these guys who robbed a bank, Big Z, and it was all done. They kept looking for the outside, people on the outside who did it. It was an inside job. I think Jeter played for the Yankees from what somebody was telling me. I Googled his background. He actually played for the Yankees. All politics is fair in New York. You know what they say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying in New York. It's just ironic. Out of all of the teams in Major League Baseball, that they could have gotten Stanton to go to. He wanted to go to L.A., which is more of the ethnic environment that he would have appreciated. But that good old boy Jeter, I guess that movie Clive Owen is called The Inside Job. He goes back to where he's made himself a Hall of Famer, Big C. So some people say if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, and does a duck talk, Big C? I've never seen a duck talk. Your thoughts?
It goes back to that scenario talking about spoon-fed, okay?
Yeah.
He spoon-fed the Yankees an American League title.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, what do you need?
Yeah.
I know I'm probably still making a little money off of you.
Yeah.
But what do you need to get to the next level?
Yeah.
I can send you a guy that hit 59 home runs, okay? He's the National League MVP.
Yep.
To help that guy that was American League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So nobody can pitch around either one of them. You bet these guys 2 and 4 in the lineup, Charlton.
Yeah.
The number 3 hitter in the lineup for the Yankees may hit 30 home runs this year. You think about it.
Yeah.
When you got those 2 bats on each side of them, the number 5 hitter, Charlton, may hit, at least 300 because they're going to see pitches.
Yeah.
So, this does nothing but bode well for the Yankees. We saw that pitching staff was strong.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, as you say, Jeter spoon-feeds his franchise that he grew up with. He's a Yankee. Once a Yankee, always a Yankee.
That's what I heard, Big C.
So he was doing things to make the Yankee organization great, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he did it again today.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll be long-term owner like some of the good old boys that really own baseball teams. But they say all's fair in love and war. I do want to touch on one more thing about the NBA and some great basketball happening in the NBA. And I look at just a couple of teams in their division, what they're doing. You have an Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference. Boston's at 23-5. You have Toronto 17-7. In the Southeast Division, you have Washington 14-12, followed by Miami at 12-13. I hear they were also trying to trade their best player away to Big C. And then the Central Division is Cleveland at 19-8, followed by Milwaukee 15-10. In the Western Conference Southwest Division, you have Houston at 20-4, San Antonio at 19-8. And San Antonio had a great win over Boston. Really loved the way they compete, especially Manu Ginobili. That brother must be 50 years old, but he's still bringing it, Big C. And we look at the Northwest Division. Minnesota 15-11, followed by Denver 14-12. And the Pacific Division, the Golden State Warriors 21-6. And the LA Lakers at 10-15. I know a lot of people throw a lot of shade at the Lakers, but Big C, the Lakers are in second place in the Pacific Division. Just give me your thoughts real quick on what you saw over the weekend.
Well, Charlton, this is an up-and-coming organization. You think this is the reason why they brought Luke Walton in a couple years ago. I know that Magic Johnson is going to get a lot of credit for the development of the Lakers, but he's not there during the day-to-day practice and playing of the team. This is what Luke Walton was brought in to do.
Yeah.
You think about when he was the head coach of the Warriors, Charlton, they had the best record in NBA history.
Yeah.
For the time that he was coaching.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's an unknowledgeable individual as far as evaluating talent, Charlton.
Yep.
I know he's gotten a lot of flack for the ball kid sitting on the bench during the fourth quarter, but there's a reason for it, because he's knowledgeable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luke Walton is a very astute coach. He learned a lot under Steve Kerr, and Mark Jackson in the NBA, Charlton, as being an assistant coach, and now he's moved on to his own house in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And you think about what he's doing with this ultra young team. He has a long ways to go. He's not building this team to win this year or even next year. He's looking 3-4 years down the road of having a stable organization, and that's what the Lakers are doing. They may be ahead of the progress that he looked at as far as them getting there, but they have a lot of young, upstart talent. I know the ball kid gets all the publicity, but the other players are the ones who are making the wins happen.
Well, Big C, I was watching a little documentary on the Ball family, and I thought he drives an Escalade, looked like yours. I thought it was yours, but his was clean. He didn't have a lot of mud in it like you good old boys in the South. I said, he's even driving an Escalade, so you got to be careful. They might mistake you for him sometime, Big C. Just keep that in mind. I do want to go back in the day, back in December 11th, 1972. Broadway Joe Namath of the New York Jets passed for 403 yards, and Dan Meredith also set an NFL record with career receptions in a 26-16 loss to the Oakland Raiders. So good job for the good old boys back in the day. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, If you're looking at a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. Call 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Big C, the NFL. My goodness, a lot of issues with the NFL right now with player safety. I want to start off on a couple of games, which could have been a fun game if you ever played in the snow. I think you played in the snow back in the day. I look at Week 14, and the Buffalo Bills with a 13-7 overtime win over the Indianapolis Colts. That game was played in like a foot of snow. It was Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS Sports with Spiro Dedes, Autumn Archuleta, and Steve Tasker. Are those games fun, or are they as irritable as they look like they could be on TV, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's a throwback pre-Dome Stadium era when you look at the NFL, when you had to deal with all the elements. I mean, this was, as you say, a throwback game.
Yep.
To be able to play in a foot of snow back in, Orchard Park, New York, where the Bills' home games are played. To sit back and look at this, it reminded you of a game. And we just lost Ron Meyer, a great coach, years ago.
Yes.
In the NFL with the New England Patriots, Charlton, and the Indianapolis Colts. When he had a snowblower come out on the field and clean off a swatch for, the kicker to attempt the game-winning field goal, Charlton. And what a fitting setting, after the loss of Ron Meyer, to see that same type of setting again in Buffalo, Charlton, as we saw in New England a few decades ago.
Wow.
But, this was one of those games, Charlton, where as a player, you're sitting there, and this is where your talents come through. And we think about the amount of carries that McCoy and Gore had in this game, Charlton. Gore had over 30 carries in this game.
Yeah.
You think about an aging workhorse running back that got everything out of him that they could, Charlton. Some tremendous plays that were made in inclement weather.
Yep.
But you think about it. As an athlete, you're paid to play.
Yeah.
And you saw these athletes, even this cold, inclement weather, giving all that they could, Charlton. And just a tremendous performance, because I saw some games that were played in 65, 70-degree weather that weren't even as good as this one.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. So I really congratulate them on a great effort, and that game went to overtime. And the Cowboys, going to 7-6 on the season. A lot of people were writing the Cowboys off after they had a tough couple of games when Ezekiel Elliott got suspended. A 30-10 win over the Giants. They go to 7-6. The Giants fall to 2-11. That game was Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. The great Kevin Burkhardt, Charles Davis, and Pam Oliver with the play-by-play. And now the Cowboys have the Raiders coming up. I look at the Cowboys, and people thought with Ezekiel Elliott gone, it would be really tough. But it looks like their linebacker, Sean Lee, when he plays, they're actually 4-2, Big C. Your thoughts on the Cowboys and their big win in the Meadowlands, Big C?
Well, it's amazing how much fanfare and cry by Jerry Jones went out over Ezekiel Elliott about him being suspended. He even tried to get a commissioner ousted because of Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott has not been the horse that has driven the Cowboys, Charlton. It has been through Sean Lee. You look at the Cowboys, Charlton. They've been 6-2 with Sean Lee in the lineup, okay? Without him in the lineup, they've been 1-4. So this is one of the most intelligent linebackers in the history of professional football, Charlton. When you think about, if you look at the Cowboys over the past couple of years that he's been in the lineup, the success that they've had. 3 years ago when he was injured, Charlton, they fell through the cracks. Everybody said it was Tony Romo. No, it was Sean Lee not being out there. He was more valuable to the Cowboys than Tony Romo was. And you look at the success that they had last year when they made that playoff run. He didn't take Sean Lee out of the lineup. He took Dak Prescott out of the lineup. So the offense couldn't get kick-started, when he came back. But you look at this year, Charlton, the plays that this guy makes, Charlton, all over the field. It's very noticeable when he's out of the lineup. They don't miss anything. I mean, they scored 30 points. They weren't going to score more than 30 points with Ezekiel Elliott with the game anyway, Charlton. But they held the Giants to a mere 10, so I guess it wasn't a 6-footing Eli Manning back in the lineup.
Right.
And everybody was crying about, well, we got Eli back. We're going to win.
And they got what they wanted.
The Giants haven't scored 30 points in the last 2 years.
No.
Who else been their quarterback?
Eli Manning.
That's an organization, and all all you sycophants fans and all you alumni talking about Eli deserves better than this.
Yeah.
Go back and look at this last time that Eli Manning put 30 points on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Don't think that, that the former coach did something wrong. He recognized this. I have a quarterback in the last 2 years of my coaching tenure hasn't put 30 points on the scoreboard. We're the only team in the NFL that hasn't done that.
Yeah, that's funny, Big C. It's funny about that. And I want every athlete to do well. Obviously, it takes the good and the bad. But Eli, the New York media, they were all over the coach that they let go, and they were saying that what a joke to bench Eli and not give him a chance to continue trying to break a record. Even if that record is losing, that's the record he was trying to break. But think about it. It's like wanting your old girlfriend back. There's a reason you guys broke up in the first place, okay? And they brought the girlfriend back, and they realized this is why we left. You can't give me more than 30 points. Makes you not make any sense.
Well, everybody wants to blame McAdoo. Everybody saying, he was a good position coach. He was a good coordinator. But he's not a good head coach. What he did, Charlton, was he inherited an aging product, okay?
Yeah.
That was the problem. He inherited an aging, broke-down product. The fans from 7 years ago remember, hey, we won the Super Bowl with this guy.
Yeah.
There you did. You got lucky. The sun will shine on a crooked dog twice today, okay?
I think I found that dog. Yep.
So, to sit there and reminisce about Eli winning a Super Bowl, Charlton, is just like sitting back reminiscing on Phil Simms winning a Super Bowl, like Jeff Hostetler winning a Super Bowl in New York. They're not going to win again, just like Eli. He's not going to win again. Yeah,
it's like taking Stanton and getting rid of him, thinking that's going to help you win the World Series. It doesn't make any sense. I want to look at the Lions. The Lions with a 24-21 win over the Buccaneers, and they actually they up their record. They're not going to keep up with Minnesota no matter what happens in that division. But I do look at the Lions getting a much-needed win. That game was Sunday at 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. Kenny Albert, Rondé Barber, and Christina Blake with the play-by-play. Now, I know Stafford has his own issues, but it seems like no one's healthy this time of year, Big C. You got to find a way to win a game, and the Lions pulled out a close win on the road down in Florida, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's great to have a great field goal kicker this time of year. They make all the difference because a lot of offenses stall. We saw that with Robbie Gould in Chicago a couple weeks ago when San Francisco went in and couldn't score a touchdown, but Robbie Gould was able to beat his former team with all field goals in the game. We also saw that in the Snow Bowl up in Buffalo, where Vinatieri could not hit a field goal, Charlton, and late the game, which drove the game in overtime, which gave Buffalo an opportunity to win. We look at the same scenario here. Charlton, you got to have a kicker.
Yep.
And it's very important in the NFL this time of year because everybody doesn't get into the end zone. But when you get into that red zone and have an opportunity to score, Charlton, you have to be able to have a kicker that's very reliable. And we saw that with the Detroit Lions. When the game was on the line, Prater was able to come out and put it through the uprights, Charlton, to give Detroit a much-needed win.
A much-needed win it was. I look at the Oakland Raiders. Now, this Oakland Raider team has one playoff season in the last 14 years, okay? And this Raider team, there's a lot of hoopla over the Raiders going to Las Vegas. But sometimes you might want to have a receipt when you buy something big, so you want to keep the receipt in case you want to return it back to the East Bay. And I thought the Raiders were at least playoff rated this year, but something's not right with the chemistry. And they get beat down by Kansas City, a team that did not know how to win a game. A 26-15 loss at Arrowhead Stadium. The Raiders fall to 6-7. The Chiefs go to 7-6, tied with San Diego in the AFC West. I know they fired Ken Norton Jr. just a couple weeks ago, and they got a close win at home, and people thought, hey, we made the right decision. Here's a team that didn't score until the third quarter was over, Big C. What's the issue with the Oakland Raiders? I think Jack Del Rio, look, we always got to say the buck stops here. I think you'll see a totally new Raiders coaching staff by next season, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you fire your defensive coordinator, and your offense can't score but 2 touchdowns, okay?
Yeah.
But that means that what the problem with it is.
Yeah.
The opposing team all of a sudden now is doubling up on you because you got rid of your defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So, I don't think that Ken Norton Jr. was calling any offensive plays for them.
Not that I know of.
So when you make those moves, you have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
We knew that the Kansas City Chiefs were a desperate team coming in, desperate, hungry team. the Raiders have been a team without an identity all year long.
Yeah.
And no one can figure out why the Chiefs have lost 6 consecutive games.
Yep.
But they needed a team like the Raiders to get healthy with.
Yeah.
You saw Beast Mode was having a decent game. The offensive line could not protect Derek Carr.
No.
I mean, they hit him just about every time he took a snap.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I think they're one of the highest paid offensive line in the NFL, at least in the AFC. But that, Big C, something's up with the chemistry. You can tell. Jack Del Rio looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like he's in control on the sideline. He's just, I don't even know what it is, but that you can put your finger on it. It's like picking up a date, and she's just not that into you, Big C. That's what it seemed like. Jack doesn't seem that into coaching the Raiders, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Your thoughts?
Well, you can't be bringing Roy Moore into this program.
Okay. Hey, Donald Trump loves him.
Okay? I understand we talk politics and all that, but you can't be bringing this Alabama to the
Okay.
program. Talk about picking up somebody. Okay.
I understand.
That's why he was banned from the mall. Okay.
Okay. Donald Trump doesn't know he was banned from the mall. He said, "Hey, vote for him anyway." Big C. That's what Trump says about Roy Moore.
That shows the low-lifeness of our Republican Party here in the United States. I mean, we cover every spectrum. But when you have a political party
Yep.
that's advocating, Charlton,
Yeah.
for a pedophile.
Yeah.
We talked about this many times. And to our listeners, any of you who is willing to let your daughter, your granddaughter, go spend a day at Roy Moore's house,
Yeah.
unsupervised.
Yeah.
Think about that. If this guy's a pedophile, with a 14-year-old girl, and think about it. People say, well, it's unverified. Look at the climate of America in the 60s and the early 70s
Yep.
in America, especially in the southern states, where it was easy to marry an underage girl. Think about Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
The king of rock and roll imported a 16-year-old from Germany.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
To marry, and kept her for 2 years prior to marrying her. But what went on between those 2 years while he kept her in his place?
Yeah.
He was in his house. You think about Loretta Lynn, okay?
Yeah.
Who was one of the biggest names in country music, who married her husband at 14 years of age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis married his 14-year-old cousin, one of the greatest icons in rock and roll, Loretta Lynn, one of the greatest voices in country music. They were from the South.
Yeah.
That was a way of life back then.
Yeah.
And young girls didn't have a choice.
No power.
If an older man preyed upon you, and all of those guys were much older than the girls, they were twice the age and more than those girls that they pursued.
Yep.
So Southern people didn't know anything about that. But today's society, which has allowed these young girls to speak out about what they didn't want, it was just forced on them.
Yeah.
And now people saying, well, it's not, it can't be proven. Yes, it is. You're telling me that you disagree with somebody who's been molested, that she's not a credible person any longer.
Yeah.
That was acceptable, even though it was acceptable way of lifetime, but she has no credibility because she's speaking out now, here, 30 years later, 40 years later, about this person who has molested her, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's to say that the moon landing didn't exist, okay?
Yeah.
It's to say that the Civil War didn't exist, say that slavery didn't exist, because we have no credible visual evidence of slavery, so, well, it does exist, okay?
Yeah.
We have evidence of the moon landing in video, but they say, well, it was only in black and white.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
hey, about the moon landing, I still want to know who filmed the landing. Okay, that's the other thing I thought. When I saw the moon landing, it said, well, who's on the moon filming the landing, Bixie? That's the other thing that I thought, Bixie.
But when we look at these things and we talk about the credibility of a person, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay? You think about the JFK assassination. If not for the Zapruder film, there would still be questions about what happened, okay?
Yep.
We were able to see that through the film. Other than that, even the Robert Kennedy assassination, we saw some evidence on film after he was down. We didn't see the actual incident occur, Charlton.
Yeah.
But in many cases, even Martin Luther King, we didn't see the action happen. We saw him once he was down.
Yeah.
But there was always questions, Charlton.
Yeah.
We didn't have the person that was there as an exact witness to the incident that occurred, okay?
Yep.
So there's always going to be suspicion about what happened in these historical events. We have people that have witnessed what Roy Moore has done to actual women. They were young girls at the time
Yeah.
that he committed these heinous acts against.
Yeah.
And people say, well, you can't believe these women because they have a political agenda. They probably can't even spell politics.
Yeah.
Even just like the women who accused the president. And people are calling for him. The same senators that called for Al Franken
Yep.
to resign, that called for John Conyers to resign,
Yeah.
are calling now for the president. And what they're saying, well, he has immunity because this happened before he was president. He was still a citizen of the United States.
Yeah.
Just like Harvey Weinstein is a citizen of the United States. Bill Cosby
Yeah.
is a citizen of the United States. Kevin Spacey is a citizen of the United States. And on through these predators throughout Hollywood and politics, Charles. Everybody needs to be treated the same way. You think about NFL players who have lost their careers due to sexual allegations
Yeah.
and misconduct allegations.
Yeah,
Okay?
they have.
Major League Baseball players that have lost their careers. NBA players, Charles. Why do you hold these white Americans in such high esteem for committing sexual misconduct and saying, well, it's just boys being boys?
Well, it's a shame that president's stumping for him, but the good old people of Alabama will see if they have the decency not to trust their own daughters in a room with Roy Moore. I want to touch on the NFL after I just bring up this point because you brought it up. A pro wrestler was arrested. Rich Swann was arrested Saturday night and charged with domestic battery and false imprisonment down in Florida, in Gainesville, Florida, by the police department. On Sunday is when he was arrested, and he's part of the WWE. And they've suspended him indefinitely because they don't want men who lock up their women and hold people against their own will. But that's what he did. So good job to the WWE. Big C, the NFL, I know we have our own issues in that. The 49ers go to 3-10 with a 26-16 win over the Texans, which fall of 4-8. Actually 4-9. That game was Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. Dick Stockton, Mark Schlereth, and Shannon Spick had the play-by-play. And now that Garoppolo's in with the 49ers, it looks like they're happy that they got 2 wins in a row. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a huge win streak for the 49ers.
Yeah.
You think about the 49ers as whole, Charlton. Since Jim Harbaugh has left as the head coach,
Yeah.
this is only their 10th victory. Think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Garoppolo can be what he is. But this is only the 10th victory that the 49ers have had. And the third head coach since Jim Harbaugh's left. So he left under not much fanfare with ownership.
Yep.
But this is an organization that in 3 seasons has had 10 wins.
Yeah.
So, I give credence to Jimmy Garoppolo with his second win with the 49ers. But you got to look how far this organization has fallen.
Yeah.
You know, since Harbaugh's left. His last year there, Charlton, I believe he had 10 or 11 victories.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And in 3 years, they haven't eclipsed what he walked away from.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, that's a great move for the Niners to have their 3rd victory of the season. But look at what you forced out, you know, as an ownership, Jed York and the ownership of the 49ers.
Yeah.
You forced away a winning, stable franchise because of your ego, and you've been sorely rewarded with 3 victories this year.
Well, congratulations to the 49er fans. I'm sure they duly love the fact that they beat the Texans. They really don't have a quarterback. I do want to bring up about 30 seconds of your thoughts on Savage being on the side. I just knocked down. Some people said he was having, I guess, some type of convulsions, and they didn't handle it right. And I don't know. I didn't see that game. I just saw some of the highlights. Your thoughts on what happened? How do we protect the quarterback, Mixie? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, how do you protect any player in the NFL, okay?
Yeah.
This is a violent business. And somebody needs to get off their butt and stop saying that it's not violent, okay?
Yeah.
And that we can't stand for these vicious hits. Hell, if you put on a uniform, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Everybody but the water boy gets hit during the game, okay?
Yep.
That's a period. So Tom Savage, it's easy for us to go analyze it. Everybody's sitting on television. When we can do replays, we can slow everything down,
Yeah.
and look at everything in microseconds, Charlton. But when the game is being played, you know, show me what official has instant replay in his head right there. You know, has that little eye camera
Yeah.
that they had out years ago that you can watch instant replay on, Charlton.
Yep.
The official is sitting there in real time trying to move the game along. What is everybody talking about speeding up the game, Charlton?
Yeah.
That the games take too damn long to play?
Yep.
All right? So the official is trying to get people up, get them back in the huddle, get them off the field.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. It's not his job to police medical protocol.
Yeah.
That's not his job. He's not hired for that. So you hire these professionals to take a player to the sideline, Charlton, and to evaluate it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not in this little blue tent what's going on there. Sometimes I know they don't want Roy Moore up in there.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, that's true.
The former judge from Alabama, I know that's the last place they want to see him in the tent on the sideline. Okay?
That's true.
Or even the president, they don't want him up there.
Yeah.
Because of the things they've been accused
Yeah.
of doing.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But, unless they put a video booth up in there and they have somebody talking to them from New York or L.A., wherever these instant replays are coming from, Charles, these medical professionals can only look at real time what they're looking at. And if a player responds to all protocol that they put them through, this medical professional is making his decision based on the player's reaction.
Yeah. So
real time. That's real time, Charles.
So hopefully he'll be okay. I know a lot of people get banged up and have those issues to deal with. I want to bring up the Packers. The Packers go to 7-6 with an overtime 27-21 win over the Browns. That game was Sunday on Fox Sports. It was Tom Brenneman, Chris Spielman, and Jennifer Hale with the play-by-play. For a while, I thought the Browns would get their first win, but you got to give the Packers credit for coming back on the road and getting that win in front of one of the dog pounds of the Midwest. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, a great overtime win for Huntley and the Packers. I mean, it seemed like Kaiser and the Browns were going to finally pull one out this season.
Yeah.
They had them on the ropes, but, you got to play that 60 minutes. They did all of what they could do offensively, but late in the game, the pressure got to Kaiser. And not having that mental understanding of a veteran quarterback, it's better to take the sack other than try to force a throw.
Yeah.
Having a ball picked off, Charlton turning it over, giving the opposing team an opportunity to come out with a victory. And the Browns, when you think about them, anything bad that can occur will always occur with this franchise.
Yeah, it's going to happen that way.
This is one of them teams with a mascot could be caught set on fire if they had a mascot.
Hey, that's the same city that burned LeBron James jerseys, and he won. Imagine what they're going to do to the Browns. I want to go to the Bears, a 33-7 win over the Bengals. The Bears go to 4-9. The Bengals drop to 5-8. And Marvin Lewis, he might be another coach that's on the hot seat as well. That was Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. Sam Rosen with Brady Quinn and Jenny Taft had the play-by-play. And I just think about the Bengals had a playoff team last year. In fact, they've been in the playoffs, I think, 8 years under Lewis. But sometimes it's just time to pack up and go on to greener pastures. Big C, your thoughts on the Bears getting a surprising 33-7 win?
Well, Charlton, when you go into a game with a quarterback who's only getting 1.3 yards per completion on his NFL career, you're always suspect about what this team will do offensively. They raised up on defense against the Bengals. Andy Dalton, not only just Marvin Lewis may be on his way out, but Andy Dalton may be following close behind him, Charlton, when you look at how his productivity has gone down the past couple of seasons. And he's just, as a veteran NFL quarterback, you would expect more. I know it's easy to always pass it out on the coach.
Yep.
But when a team is winning, the quarterback is getting all the accolades. When a team is losing, it falls down on the head coach, and especially in Cincinnati, where you have an African-American coach, it's really falling down on Marvin Lewis, just like in Cleveland with Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
They have to be the problem, not the players on the field that are not producing, that are being paid by management. Actually, they were drafted by management and not by the head coach, because I don't know when the last time a head coach started controlling the draft. This is why you have the director, player personnel, and your GM.
Yeah.
Yes, the coach does have some insight, but these are the ones who put out the big money contracts, Charlton, at the end of the day, and let players go into free agency, figure that they're not worth signing. And one of the biggest losses that Cincinnati has had over the past couple of years, Charlton, is Mohamed Sanu, who went on to Atlanta. And the first year he got to Atlanta, last year helped them get to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And what has happened to Cincinnati since Sanu was gone, Charlton, and A.J. Green hasn't had any help? They've continuously gone downhill.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. Another game that I thought could have been the game of the day, and you have the Minnesota Vikings. They fall at the Panthers in Carolina. They go to 10-3 on the season. The Panthers go to 9-4, a 31-24 win by the Panthers. That was Sunday at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports. The great Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson had the play-by-play. I'm impressed by the way that both teams played great. I would not be surprised if these two teams see each other again in the NFC playoffs. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, both of these teams will make the playoffs. But the thing you have to be most impressed with the Panthers by, they took the Vikings to task. The Vikings came to this game, Charlton, with the number 2 run defense in the NFL.
Yep.
And the Panthers ran for well over 200 yards against this vaunted Viking defense that everybody's been talking about, that has carried this team to a 10-2 record prior to this game, Charlton. But, Cam Newton has been playing better the past couple of weeks. And the Carolina Panthers, just as a whole, have been able to find a way to get it done offensively, Charlton, when you look at their point production.
Yeah.
But, the Vikings just didn't get off to the start that everybody expected them to. Case Keenum was slow coming out of the block against this Panthers defense and put consistent pressure on him, Charlton, forced some turnovers, and allowed the Panthers to come out with this victory. But it both well for Ron Rivera and the organization, Charlton. They needed to stay in the hunt. The New Orleans had lost to Atlanta a couple of nights earlier, and this kept them in the run for the division title because all of those teams will face each other the last 3 weeks of the season, Charlton.
Very good.
All divisional games.
Yeah, very good point. Very good football game. Love the way it was played. Also want to come out to the West Coast. The Chargers go to 7-6, keeping pace with Kansas City with a 30-13 beatdown of the Washington Redskins, which fall to 5-8. Do you like that? You like that? No, Kirk Cousins. I don't think Daniel Snyder likes that loss. But I also want to say the Chargers are just as hot as anybody. That game was Sunday, a 4:05 kickoff on CBS Sports. Iron Eagle, the great Dan Faust, and Evan Washburn had the play-by-play. Big C, the Chargers look like they control their own fate, and they have a big game coming up before the end of the season with Kansas City, and the winner of that game will win the AFC West. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Chargers decided to win the Western Division 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, in the last 4 games hasn't passed for less than 320 yards, Charlton, as a quarterback. He's been solid. This Chargers team has a healthy receiving corps, which has made all the difference. They have 2 great, young defensive ends that have just really dominated the rest of the NFL. And when you look at what they've done within the division and beating up on your cousin on the weekend, Charlton.
Wait. You keep telling people I got a cousin. You know it's not my cousin, Big V.
well, I can't tell the difference, as I say, this liquid libation,
we all look alike. Yeah. That's funny.
Phillip Rivers, Charlton, is playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL. You look at the difference between he and Eli Manning, who were drafted at the same time.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is the mentality of the two. People will say, well, Eli has no help. Show me what Phillip Rivers has, Charlton. He's taking his team on his back. He was forced out of his home down in San Diego and forced to go down to Los Angeles and play football.
Yep.
But, he had a tough start to the end of the season, at the beginning of the season as the rest of the team did, Charlton. Yep. But he's not looking at that as an excuse. They haven't talked about benching Phillip Rivers.
Nope.
And in his last, 4 games, Charlton, this guy's passed for close to 1,600 yards.
Yeah.
Where's Eli Manning been?
Yeah, that's true, Big C. He looks very good for the Chargers. The Jets, I tell you, I never thought, I thought it was a typo when I saw it. The Jets got shut out up at Mile High. That's where the Jets fly at least over a mile. I know they fly at least a mile high, Big C. Let's say low flying. But they get shut out by the Broncos 23-0. The Jets fall to 5-8. The Broncos go to 4-9, which is nothing to write home about. That game was Sunday, 4:05 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports. The great Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, and Jamie Erdahl had the play-by-play. I know this doesn't do anything for the morale of the Broncos. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago, but they did get a shutout win at home versus the Jets. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Jets quarterback, Luke McCown, Charlton, broke his hand in this game, so it really left the Jets without any offensive mobility whatsoever. You got Bryce Petty, who's going to be starting in next week's game, young man out of the University of Baylor. But Charlton, this is a team that has struggled all year long. They've done a lot better than what a lot of experts, had chosen and picked them to be. They all picked that the Giants would have the best season in New York. And ironically, the Bills have had the best season of all New York teams, and the Jets have been second. Yeah. But, the Jets just haven't really been steady at quarterback. Everybody said they would be tanking it at the beginning of the season to pick Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will be lucky to go in the top 10 in the NFL draft if he was to come out. I don't think that any team should waste the first-round draft pick. He looks more like a second-round draft pick right now as far as his development has gone. But the Jets, to go into Mile High. They may have gotten in early for some little recreational activity and forgot to play the game.
I didn't know they had recreational activity in Denver, but they did play like they were really relaxed. Big C, I have no idea what could make them so relaxed. The Titans, I look at the Titans, and they lost down in the desert 12-7 to the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals go to 6-7. The Titans fall to 8-5. That game was Sunday at 4:05 kickoff on CBS Sports. Andrew Catalan, James Lawson, and Jay Feely with the play-by-play. And there's sometime that, just like wine, those Cardinals, they can sneak up on you when you don't expect them to. And I think that's what happened to the Titans. Big C, your thoughts on that loss?
Well, you had your blazing buddy Blaine Gabbert out there playing quarterback for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he lit the NFL on fire, passing for 162 yards in that game. So, there's a lot to boast about. But Charleston, the best part of that game is that Larry Fitzgerald, moved into the number 3 position all-time, passing Randy Moss on the NFL all-time receiving list. He's only behind Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice now, talking 2 former 49er players, 1 and 2
on
the all-time NFL receiving list. And so you think about that one proud organization that has now won 2 consecutive games, Charles.
Yeah.
There was a time when they would win 2 consecutive Super Bowls. So,
that's true.
That's a long, long time ago. But Larry Fitzgerald, when you look at that game, Charles, all the kudos have to go out to him as far as the accomplishments that he has made in his career prior to getting to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And the Cardinals pulled out a victory. Even though it was a victory, they have nothing to play for because they're not going to make the playoffs, Charles.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. But it's always good when you see a team that doesn't tank it in at the end of the season. A few more games left, Big C. The Eagles in a great game out in Los Angeles. A 43-35 win over the Rams. They go to 11-2. They clinch the playoffs in their division, and also the Rams fall to 9-4. The game was closer than the score. There was a lucky, a pickup and running in for the touchdown in about the last 10 seconds of the game. But Carson Wentz is the breaking news out of that. He's out for the season. That game was Sunday, a 4:25 kickoff on Fox Sports with Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews with the play-by-play. Your thoughts with Folk coming in trying to lead the Eagles to the top division, at least the home field advantage in the playoffs. Do you think they still have that chance without Wentz, who was having a good season this year, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at Wentz, who tore his ACL in this game, is potentially lost for the season.
Yeah.
I go back a few years ago where we had Phillip Rivers playing with a torn ACL in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots, Charlton. So you can come back from that injury, but I don't see them risking rent early in his career coming back to potentially try to play with that type of injury. If we just look at Nick Folk just a few short years ago, Charlton, under Chip Kelly, this guy was 27-2 touchdown and interceptions, Charlton, in an NFL season. And everybody was thinking about, wow, this is going to be the next great quarterback in the NFL. Then a few years later, Charlton, you get him for a cup of coffee.
That's true.
That's how far his stock had dropped. But look at this, Charlton. When you think about the top 3 records in the NFC, Charlton. When you look at the Vikings, you look at the Eagles, and you look at the Rams. All 3 of those quarterbacks, Charlton, within the last 3 years were coached by Jeff Fisher. Carson Wentz, wasn't a part of that, but Nick Foles was with the Rams, okay?
He sure was.
You look at Minnesota. We have Case Keenum. He was with the Rams. And last year when they brought in Jared Goff. What was wrong with Jeff Fisher that everybody loved so long as the head coach in the NFL? Now you got the 3 teams with the top 3 records in the NFC. And one coach had all of those quarterbacks. And got fired. Somebody was stupid somewhere.
Somebody was missing the spark plug there someplace, Big C. I want to look at a game that had a lot of other people talking about it after the game as much as during the game. The Seattle Seahawks going across the country after a big win over Philadelphia at home and travel into Jacksonville, and they lose 30-24, and Jacksonville goes to 9-4 in the season. The Seahawks drop to 8-5. But we know there were some issues. That game was Sunday at 4:25 kickoff on Fox Sports with Chris Myers, Dale Johnson, and Laura Oakman with the play-by-play. But some issues with players and fans getting into it. I think for any fan that throws anything onto the field, not only should they be ejected, they could be prosecuted, but there's also no excuse for players trying to go up into the stands and try to do whatever they're thinking about doing. Big C, your thoughts?
But Charlton, you can't allow the fanfare because you buy a ticket, whether you pay $50, $150, or $550 for a ticket,
Yep.
to abuse a player, okay? Because if you throw a bottle at somebody down the street, that's considered assault, okay?
Yeah.
You will be arrested for it. And there's law enforcement in the stadium.
Yeah.
There's video evidence of the individuals who threw these, projectiles.
Yeah.
Charlton.
Yeah.
And so for a player to react and defend himself, I don't blame the player, okay?
Yeah.
Because as an NFL, Major League Baseball player, we saw this with the NBA several years ago with Ron Artest in Indianapolis when he went up into the stands. I believe it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Where players were throwing beers at him, and he had a 72-game suspension.
Yeah.
The problem I have is that you have these police and these gendarmes. You can find NFL players who are smoking marijuana.
Yep.
Okay? You can find NFL players with a DUI, but you can't spot out a fan on video. You know what CDs
Oh, they saw it. They saw who it was. They found the fan.
My point about local prosecution, Charlton.
Yeah.
We're looking at the Baker Mayfield effect here, okay?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield got away with committing felony.
Yeah.
Okay? Whenever a player does something, they say it's an egregious act because the player does it. They're saying he can't react to defending himself. I understand. Now look at it from this perspective.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Richardson had been kicked out of the game, had he not?
Yeah.
So he was no longer technically a player. He was a public citizen at that point. So for him to defend himself, I don't see how the NFL can suspend him for an act when he wasn't participating in the game. That's going to be a tough one right there.
Well, obviously, yeah.
And the rest of the league staff's going to have to say, okay, this player has been kicked out of the game. He was headed to the locker room. He wasn't bothering anybody. But this was an act that was committed as a citizen. He was no longer representing the team. Then I want to go back to the Bennett scenario.
Yeah.
And they said Bennett went after the knees of the center. He didn't go after the knees, Charlton. He rolled in there.
Yeah.
He didn't go helmet first. He went in there back first. He wasn't going in trying to intentionally hurt the player.
Yeah.
As a lineman in the NFL or college or high school, if you want to hurt somebody, you use the helmet.
Yeah.
To go in there with. He went in with his back. Now, if they suspend him, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But if they suspend him with more than one game after the egregious act that Rob Gronkowski committed maliciously last week against the Buffalo Bills, that's that would be a racial sentence that they give Bennett, okay?
Well, yeah.
Not a justified one, but racially motivated, because what Rob Gronkowski did and did get a 4-game suspension, but that malicious act against the defensive back from Buffalo who was just laying there on the ground, unprotected, and attacked, not hit, but attacked, okay?
Yep.
Not in the act of playing. This was not an act of playing. This was a defenseless act against an individual that was laying on the ground, Charlton.
Yeah, we're going to see what comes out of that. I'm sure there's a lot of heated issues on both sides. I want to finish with 2 more games. We have the Ravens and the Steelers. What an incredible football game. The way these two teams play, and of course, they both paid homage to Ryan Shazier, number 50, who's actually doing better. We hope that he has a full recovery. But the Steelers with a late come-from-behind 39-38 win over the Ravens. The Steelers go to 11-2 on the season, and the Ravens fall to 7-6. I look at that game was Sunday 8:30 kickoff at NBC Sports with the great Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya had the play-by-play. But what can you say about Big Ben? Another 500-yard passing game, and it just seems this team has the moxie that their head coach has, and always finding out how to pull out a win in the end. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about it. Ben Roethlisberger did something the other night that no other quarterback in the NFL history has done. He had his third 500-yard passing game of his career. And Ben is not done. When you think about Antonio Brown, everybody talked about Antonio Brown and Julio Jones being 1A and 1B in receivers. Antonio Brown is 1A, period.
Yeah.
You think about, here's a guy, Charlton, over 200 yards in receptions. You don't get that done easily. And here's a guy who stands about 5'9".
Yeah.
Julio is 6'4". Antonio's 5'9", and yet can't be covered by anybody. Charlton.
No.
And the plays that he makes that makes a difference in this game, it's just uncanny. And then you think about Le'Veon Bell not only running but catching the ball, Charlton.
Yeah.
These two individuals make Ben Roethlisberger's job easy.
Yeah.
Ben was talking about, well, maybe I might retire at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
The game is just not feeling good to me.
Yeah.
But I think he was feeling pretty good at the end of the game, last night, with the productivity he had.
Yeah.
But this Pittsburgh Steelers team, Charlton, yes, they missed Ryan Shazier on the defensive side, but it's forced Pittsburgh's offense to become more efficient. And you think about the productivity that they had against this Baltimore, and we're not talking about an anybody defense.
Yep.
Baltimore has always had one of the greatest defenses since their move from Cleveland, to Baltimore in the NFL. This is in the history of this franchise.
Yeah.
And they played that way, but Ben Roethlisberger found a way to bring this team back. You think about it, they were up 14-0 at one point, Charles.
Yeah. Now, then I tell you, that guy knows how to play, and it's great seeing I want to call them the steel curtain again because they play like it sometimes, but they give up a lot of points in that game. I know their hearts and minds are on their battle star hero, Ryan Shazier, and hopefully he has a full recovery. I want to touch on the last game tonight, Big C. The Patriots 10-2, going at the Miami Dolphins 5-7. That game's at 5:30 kickoffs has already started. ESPN. And Sean McDonough, John Gruden, and Lisa Salters have the play-by-play. And you look at the Patriots, they won 14 consecutive road games. Your thoughts on them making it 15 in Miami tonight, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is the defense that gets after Tom Brady.
Yeah.
When you look at the Dolphins front, they're very formidable in the NFL. They have some guys, Cameron Wake, and Ndamukong Suh,
yep,
who can bring the heat. And so Tom Brady can't sit back in the pocket and be comfortable against a team like this. They have some questions with your friend and quarterback and Jay Cutler.
Yeah, I understand.
Were they able to wake him up before the game started? That's always a big question mark with him. But, this is a game where when you think about the Patriots, they're looking for supremacy to serve notice to the rest of the league that we're going to have home field advantage because, Charlton, their opponent next week is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay? And so they can't afford a hiccup if they want to maintain home field advantage throughout the playoffs and be able to beat Pittsburgh next week.
Well, I tell you, it's been some great football. We wish everyone healthy and wealthy and wise. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bandini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, after this weekend of football that we came off of, pro and college with the Army-Navy game, Charlton, it's going to be hard to equal in the world of sports this week. We have this huge, tremendous trade today in baseball, but the NBA, Charlton, is doing well and healthy. The big talk is, will LeBron leave Cleveland or will he stay in Cleveland? But where can LeBron go other than Cleveland? He'll be a Cavalier next year.
Well, I tell you what, Big C, whether he's a Cavalier or not, I'm sure he's going to want Derek Jeter to do his negotiating for him because he tends to take the best players and send them off to what could be the best team. And speaking of the best team, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network. We're on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We always want to tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911 because no woman should have to deal with that all on her own. And as we tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.